please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody, so we are back again for another video today, and it's another collab video with a super awesome guest that I have. I've honestly, ever since I first saw her on Hot Take Hockey, I was like, I want her to come on my channel. And then I was a baby and too afraid to ask for a while, but I finally did. And we have IslesGirl here with us today. We're going to talk about the New York Islanders. Obviously, that's what makes sense. Really excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you.
Guys, if you are not subscribed to IslesGirl, her channel will be linked in the description. I will also link her Twitter in the description. You got to have her on both. Just awesome content. She has a great podcast. I just found it a few weeks ago when you went on HTH, but yeah. I've been trying to catch up as much as I can, and really enjoy your content. So if you're a subscriber to me, guys, please subscribe to IslesGirl. And she is so close to 1K. So please, if we can get IslesGirl to 1K by the end of this week, this video is going to drop on Thursday. So I'll give you guys the end of this week and the weekend. Let's get IslesGirls to 1K by next Monday. That'd be absolutely sick if you guys could do that. I'll pump it in the Discord too. So IslesGirl, welcome. I hope you have a fun time on Off the Wall Hockey here. We generally do, hopefully. I guess to start, we'll look back before we look forward. The Islanders this year, kind of an interesting season for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Really
it was a roller coaster ride.
It was an absolute roller coaster ride. They were really good. Then they weren't, and after the trade deadline was just
we don't talk about that.
It was such a weird season for the Islanders. So just give me your thoughts on them this season. What does the team look like? And
started off, with just off the bat, just really proud of my team and how far we've come, especially, losing someone like Leonard, who was a big part of the chemistry on the team, introducing a new goaltender like Varlamov, and seeing how the team would, operate with one another. I was very interested going into the season to see how we would recuperate after having such a successful, in my opinion, a successful 2018-19 season. Mm-hmm. So I was really curious about how we would go from there. Obviously some things hit the Islanders, the injury bug hit us a little bit, and it was tough losing big players, especially Pelech, who had the Achilles injury. Mm-hmm. But and even some of our forwards, just getting out. But we had those moments where it was just insanity. I think it started primarily when we faced the St. Louis Blues. We were down 2-0 the entire game. And I was even at the third period, on my phone, oh my God, we're doing this again. It's the Stanley Cup champs. I was like, okay, it makes sense. But then Nelson's just netted one. And I remember my friend and I kind of just getting up and clapping. She goes, well, at least it's not a shutout. And then 26 seconds left, we tied the game. And oh my God, did the whole Coliseum explode. And I'm talking about explode. It was one of the best arena feelings I've felt since the playoffs. And we won it in OT with the Taves overtime goal, and it was just insanity. And that's the game that started the Islanders' record-breaking run of the most points, the biggest point streak in Islanders history. Mm-hmm. And to witness that as an Islanders fan myself, because you don't get to watch a lot of Islanders history today as a fan. I wasn't born in the 80s. I didn't get to witness the Cups, and to watch something that big happen to my franchise was just intoxicating. Watching us go on that 9-game win streak, especially when we came back against the Pittsburgh Penguins, was an absolute fun game. It was just so much fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Your team just absolutely just go out there and wreck it. And we've had this motto of prove people wrong. And I really feel like we just developed that motto and showed the entire league we are a team to beat. And that's always something I wanted for this team, is that just to have that reputation of, ooh, this is going to be a hard game coming up. Because all growing up, everyone who faced it would be like, oh, okay, easy game, we should win this. I'm sick of that. Prove them wrong. Prove we're a team to beat. So that was a lot of fun to see from my team. Injury bug, and then everything happening to, from Cizikas, Boychuk, Pelech. Very scary moments that happened in the middle of the season. I was there when Boychuk got his eyelid cut, and my stomach rolled. I remember I was and I love Johnny Boychuk.
Mhm.
So I was, my heart was on the floor. And just seeing how it kind of deteriorated our team. Boychuk was a very big leader in the defense, so was Pelech. And seeing it kind of deteriorated the team, as well as we weren't getting goals into the net. And it was very depressing to see something like that. But the Pajot pickup, I was very, very happy about. I was rooting that we would get Pajot. And I know after the deadline, we had that 7-game losing streak. I know, I felt it. I was there. But even through that losing streak, I was very proud of my team, because even through it, I'd say a game that we played versus the Rangers, even though we were losing most of the game, we did not give up. And even the refs took away goals that should have been goals and things like that. We did not give up. And so, yes, we lost that game, but it was an OT loss because we stayed with it till the end, and we got within the last seconds of the last minutes of the third period, we tied the game versus the Rangers. And you know what? We lost in OT, but to have that drive still within the team, I remember in Islanders where we were losing down a goal, down 2 goals, we gave up. We just were done. And this was a team that just didn't give up. Yes, we may have lost, but I'm glad to see the strength and the determination from my team still there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome qualities to have in a team, without a doubt. And people don't realize what the loss of players like Adam Pelech and Casey Cizikas do to a roster and to a team. Casey Cizikas is a great example. To someone who doesn't follow hockey closely, is more of a casual fan, they're like, he's a 4th-line player. Is that really that big of a deal? Yes, Casey Cizikas to the New York Islanders is that big of a deal.
It's an imperative 4th line that when you have the chemistry together, they're just – Clutterbuck is very injury prone. He's in his older years.
Yep.
Matt Martin is trying to be – I kind of miss the old Matt Martin. Ever since he's come back from the Leafs, he's been, I don't know, a little soft in my opinion.
Yes.
I feel like he could go and give bigger hits and go a little bit harder, but I still love him as a player. And then, Casey Cizikas is that guy where you don't expect him out of nowhere. That 4th line can come and just ruin your day with a few goals.
Yeah, no, I miss the old Matt Martin too. He was one of my favorite 4th liners in the league.
Same.
I knew as soon as he went to the Leafs, I'm like, oh no, that's not a fit. And then he ends up back in New York, but he's not the same player. He's still Matt Martin, but he's Matt Martin notched down a little bit. But Adam Pelech's another guy I want to talk about, because I don't think people outside of that don't follow the Islanders closely realize how great of a defenseman Adam Pelech is. He is a top pair guy, and most people don't know that.
And it's crazy because he did that within a year. And I call it he is the epitome of the Trotz effect.
Yep.
So if you go on YouTube, you will find Adam Pelech horrible compilations of when he just it was the goal was totally his fault. He was, if I was to give superlatives for the 18-19 season, Pelech would be most improved player.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very, very overlooked within the fan base and even our fan base, I would say. But when he got hurt, I was like, shit. I was like, oh my God. He's a player that, I actually like now. Before Trotz, I was like, oh my God, no, not Pelech, get him off. But now I'm as I see he just astronomically improved, and that's on the coaching, definitely. And, to have someone like him leave the ice was detrimental to our defense.
Absolutely. Looking ahead now, as we've got playoffs hopefully coming up here very soon. The Islanders have the Panthers in the play-in round, and then beyond that remains to be seen. But what do you think the outlook for this team heading into the playoffs is? As how far can they go?
Whew, that's always a tough one, because hockey, you can never predict hockey. I don't care.
So unpredictable.
You can't predict hockey, and that's part of what I love about it is
Mm-hmm.
that anything can happen. It's not like you have the super teams where you're just like, oh, of course they're going to win. You know, everyone said that about the freaking Tampa Bay Lightning last year, and then they lost round 1.
Yep.
You know, that's what I love about it. But
Yep.
I would say with this team, we have a good record against the Panthers, especially in the playoffs, 3-0 against them in playoff appearances. But don't discount them, but we have Boychuk back, we have Pellick back, we have Casey back. And so it's like we have these players that are very, you know, I would say a big part of our group, and we have them back. So I feel like our structure is going to be so much better and get us on the path to start winning more games, hopefully. And I feel like we can beat the Panthers. I really do. I'm going to, you know, be straight up with you when I say if I think we can win a losing series. It's hard to say how far I think we can go because of the round robin. I don't know who our next opponent's going to be. I don't know how to match ourselves up against who we're going to play. You know, it could, you know, it's so random that I can't even tell you how far we can go, because it's like, if we win this round and our next opponent's a Bruins, I'm going to say we're done after the first round, you know, things like that. But I think we can get past the qualifiers. If the round robin is nice to us, I do say we get another second rounder, but the way this team is structured, I would say we're not a cup contender yet.
Okay. I'll throw kind of a curveball here. Who do you want to play coming out of the round robin? Which of those 4 teams would you most want to play?
Oh my God. So, I mean, obviously the 2 that I'm going to want to verse is probably Philly. Honestly, we have a little, bad blood with Philly, especially after the Voracek hit. That one year, him and Johnny Boychuk do not get along.
Yep.
But definitely Philly, because I feel like we can have a good series against them. Washington scares me a bit, because Washington is I also feel like we can do well against Tampa, as weird as that sounds. We've had a good track record against Tampa these last 2 years. I feel like Tampa kind of underestimates us, and in a way, like they did the Columbus Blue Jackets, and in a way that will make us superior to them. So I feel like out of those 4 teams, it's got to be Tampa and Philly.
Okay. X Factor players. Who are some guys for the Islanders that are really going to have to step up in the playoffs if this team's going to make some sort of run here?
Barzal.
Yep.
Definitely. He's got to step up. And it's not just that, you know, he's not doing well. His numbers are great. You know, if you look at him, he's like one of the top 10 centers in the league. I think that's very overlooked, that he is one of the top 10 centers in the league, especially for possession time. I think he's like number 2 for possession. But he's got to shoot. He has got to shoot. And he's a playmaker, and I understand that completely. He can set up wonderful plays. But what's kind of hard about it is that I really don't feel like we have anyone to support Barzy. That's something I want to see this team do, and an acquisition that can really help and support Barzal with his speed, getting a good speedster with him that can support him going in a rush up. I think that would really help our offense. But until that time, I think he needs to pick his head up more and see when he has a lane, because how many times I've seen him skate around, I'm like, you have a lane, go for it, shoot, do it. He can do it. If he shoots, it's usually a goal, because he's so fast, people aren't expecting him. And I feel like if he gives more drive into a goal first mentality, he can really help this team push forward. So I would love to see more from him. If Everly steps up as he did last playoffs, his backhand is just gorgeous. Every time Everly uses a backhand, it's a goal. I can't tell you why. If you go back to the season, like every single time Everly scored, it was a backhander. He just stays relying on that backhand and roofs it in the, as Butch Goring says, the toy department. I love Butchism, so, but he roofs it up there, and he's golden. He is that beautiful. If he can just drive the net more, it's really just having the offense drive the net more. You know, Lee is great in front of the net, you know, of the shielding the goalie and staying in front and trying to get those tip-ins and things like that. But I would love more of a 3-man rush at the net rather than a 1-person rush, where we kind of just tap it in. We do a lot of the dump and play games and things like that. I would love just more of a 3-man rush into the zone, because I noticed that a lot of times we come in one, maybe if we're lucky, 2 men into the blue line, when I'd love to see all 3 forwards connectively together pushing towards the net.
Yes, I crashing the net, especially in today's NHL where the goalies are so good. It's hard to just come in and beat a goaltender. It doesn't
Absolutely.
happen that often. Most of your goals in the NHL are rebounds and deflections.
Yes.
And you've got to get guys to the net. And that's, especially in playoff hockey where the intensity ramps up, the defensive structure ramps up. It's getting to the net is vital to scoring.
And some of our goals were just relying on defense. Like, I know Rockets from Pulak and Boychuk, they call him Johnny Rocket for a reason. And if you go back to our game recently versus the Flyers, which was another insanely fun game because we tied it within the last minute and then got the go-ahead goal within the last seconds.
Yep.
And that was Pulak just ripping one from the blue line. When they can aim it on net, if I would say anything to them, to improve their aim, because when they get it on net, it's goal. It's a goal. Straight up.
Yep. All right. I'm going to put you on the spot here about something we haven't touched on all that much, and that's goaltending. You are now the head coach of the New York Islanders. You have a game 1 against the Florida Panthers is on August 1st. Who is starting in goal, Varlamov or Greiss?
All right. I talked about this a little on my last podcast too, because someone asked me, who would you start? And I'm going to put it this way. If I was a coach, I would do the New York Rangers approach right now. And I thought it was a great statement from their head coach that they said, they have 3 goalies. Who do they start? Especially when you have someone like Lundqvist.
Yep.
They said, at training camps, I'm going to put all 3 in, watch how they play. Whoever's playing the best, they're in. And you know what? I'm like, that's like fair treatment. And I understand that completely, especially when, Varlamov and Greiss both, I think, played well. If you look at numbers and stats, Varley had a much, better season. He had a tougher time in the zone than Leonard did, and I think that's why his numbers were definitely lower. But I feel like if Varlamov had the same defensive core as we did last year, he would have much higher numbers. And I think Varley, if you're talking about numbers and like reliability, I think Varley would be a good choice. For moral purposes, this is probably Greiss's last season with us. His contract's coming up, and we have Sorokin coming over. Hopefully, if this 3 days after the CBA is agreed upon, we can sign him.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But if you're going that way, you put Greisser in net. But reliability-wise, Varley.
Okay. Yeah, I think Varley probably starts game 1, but on depending on how game 1 goes, I think you could go a different option for game 2 if it goes really badly. But I would say Varley probably goes game 1 in my opinion. But we'll see how it works out. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have. Thank you so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it, and definitely love to have you on again for sure in the future. That pretty much does it for this one, guys. So like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. May never catch Hot Take Hockey, but I'm coming for them. And just hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll definitely be talking to you guys soon.